Hello.
Hello. I was like, why is there no one on the template?
We did it. First try. Nailed it.
Yes. Welcome back to another session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Thursday. Um, what did we do yesterday? Katex.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
KTEX, more questions.
I
We
didn't do
started off with a
anything.
rant. We started off with we did. We started off with a rant about AI.
Yes, that's right.
Right, the first 20 minutes was just pure ranting. And then we worked on the KTEX questions. What will we do today?
Yeah, yeah. On my end, I'd love to share some discovery insights. Otherwise, I think we'll dive back into the KTEX stuff.
Are you
Um,
ready to start with the Discovery Insights?
I am, I am. I have thoughts on the KTEX stuff, but we'll hold off until we get there.
Okay.
Let me share my screen. But also, how are you?
I'm good. I fell asleep briefly for like 20 minutes. I guess it's called a nap. And then
Are you a
I woke
napper
up.
usually?
No, I think I was just feeling a little bit more tired today than I usually do. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Had I've been having like really wildly violent dreams. So I also have not been resting very well the last couple of
Oh,
days.
okay, this might be a little bit personal, but you since you brought it up, are you violent in the dreams or is there violence in the dreams?
There's violence in the dream.
Got it. That's all I'll ask. I won't ask anymore. I just.
It happens. The brain does weird stuff on autopilot.
Fair, fair.
All right. So what I've done, so I only had one conversation. Just for context, I've only had one like more focused conversation with a teacher, a personal contact of mine who wants to remain anonymous because jobs are, you know. And what I've done is I kind of used a bit of a template to jot down some notes in different categories. So I like having like one key quote that like I find is like one of the more interesting, um, I guess, insights, as well as resources they shared throughout the session and even after the session. Like some of the resources were shared afterwards. These are more like rabbit holes we can go down if we want to. So I kind of put them aside for now. But the bulk of it is here under snapshot. So a couple quick facts. This was somebody who is currently doing supply teaching. They are supply teaching grades 9 to 12 in Ontario. They have been teaching in different levels of capacity for 6 years, all the way from kindergarten to grade 12, in all subjects except for French. Um, they mostly supply teach grades 9 to 12 now, and a large part of that is because they prefer that age group. Um, One of the things they shared is that, when you get to grade 9, especially after grade 9, kids have more independence. They care about their studies a little bit more. And so for the teacher, more of their energy and time is spent on the actual learning rather than like what what they refer to as classroom management. This was interesting because, as you see, this quote is that like when they try to incorporate more fun activities, um, there is more need for classroom management, which I thought was interesting. So
Was there
classroom,
did they go into any details about that?
yes.
Like what exactly would happen? Okay, yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, so things like people talking to each other, like not respecting like who is speaking, who is giving the answer, which meant they have to repeat the instructions sometimes. I also thought it was interesting. I never really thought about it, but it makes sense that like every year the students are moving up a grade and their homeroom teacher changes. And a large part of the classroom dynamics is dependent on how well the homeroom teacher manages the class. Um, and especially during COVID, there was a lot of inconsistent teaching styles and management, and some of it is online, some of it is absent, and there's not a lot of. I think like now that kids are getting into the more serious grades, from that past experience of perhaps more lax classroom styles, there are some issues that they have to like kind of manage, especially in grade 9. I learned is that like grade 9 kids need to get used to like their new routines. They need to start changing how they think about, I guess, the school as an environment. Like it's not just a place that you make friends. I mean, it still should, but they should start caring a little bit more about their school. So he has taught class sizes between 20 to 32, and it usually depend on the school itself and how large they are and how well funded they are. Access to Chromebooks depended also on like the specific school and the demographics. I did not go too deep into this because limited time, but I thought it was also interesting to know that like most students have mobile phones by grade 9, but the younger they are, like especially in grade 9, they struggle with self-management and discipline, which I don't blame them because it's too easy.
I have a question for you, Mary. Do you feel like there should be an age before which you should not have a smartphone?
I think so.
And what age would you put that at?
I don't know. I feel like grade 9 is like today's standards, probably like somewhere between grade 7 and 9 is my
Okay.
thinking. But maybe that's a little later than, that's probably way later than the average parents giving their kids mobile devices. But I have no idea. What about you? Do you have an opinion?
I don't have a strong opinion actually. My brother sent me an article about some school or school district that limited phone usage to see what the result would be because students were being severely distracted. The article was really long, so I only skimmed it, I must admit. And so I was desperately skimming the article to see what were the results. It's been a year of this policy or whatever. And I couldn't find like just because it was more like the articles that are more like storytelling, like here's John, a father of 3, his jacket loose fitting on his, like it was one of those like highly a lot of exposition, his mustache, blah blah. I'm like, okay, geez, I don't know, I don't need to know about John's mustache, tell me the result of this experiment. And I couldn't find the part in the article. But sorry, I don't know, I struggle with that. I struggle with the technology as a reason for our attention issues versus, at some point books are also a technology, but somehow we feel very comfortable with that. Newspapers are technology, and people complain, oh, look, in the subway or this cafe, everyone's just looking at their phones. And I'm like, you'd be happy if they were looking at their newspapers? You'd be happy if they were looking at their books and not talking to each other? Like what's, and so I feel like I do feel like yes, there are distraction, and there's like a if you have them, of course, people should be more interested in their phones than other people. I did not misspeak. What I said was because there's like a wealth of attention grabbing things on your phone. If you have one, I don't know why you would pay attention in class.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the self-management and discipline, like that's the skill that's more important than like what to take away. But
Mhm.
but I'm not an expert. I have no idea.
Yeah, for maybe I will read that article just for myself.
Yeah. I think like I hear from parents too of like how much they see their kids relying on technology to find answers, to entertain themselves, to like honestly not distract the parents. And I think a big part of it is selfish from the parents' part, but I'm speaking as a non-parent, and so I have no right to like judge. Because it's like self-management and discipline is such a hard skill. I'm still learning it today at at the ripe age of I'm not gonna say. Um,
45. Just say it, own it, you know?
exactly.
All
Yeah.
right.
How do you feel about discipline? Side tangent.
You mean it? I honestly don't know for sure. I feel like people who come out the other side talk about their discipline, but I don't know that discipline is some kind of magical formula towards accomplishing things. My guess is that some people are disciplined and they get things done, and then they write books about discipline. Some people are disciplined and they don't get things done, and they don't write books about discipline and how important discipline is. They don't go on YouTube and talk about whatever how many logs they can carry or whatever the case may be. And then people without discipline get things done and probably don't have the discipline to write a book about how they got things done without discipline. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
um, I think I was a very disciplined person at one point. Um, Mostly out of like necessity, necessity, pressure, social pressure. But at one point, I think I realized that like it's important to also have flexibility because like I find that like when I'm way too focused on the discipline part, when I inevitably fail, like when I skip, I don't know, eating healthy, let's say, for like a day, I'm like, oh man, like what's the point? Like what, like why do I need to keep going? Like there's no point anymore. I broke the streak. Might as well not try. So I found it. I know it sounds super simple, but like for me, it was big to realize that like okay, discipline alone is probably like way too intense, and I need to give myself the space to be like, okay, I did that, whatever. I'll just keep going. Okay, should we keep going?
Yeah, go
Speaking
for it.
of keep going,
Yeah, speaking of discipline.
yes, motivation. So like, what are the things that the kids are motivated by? So most of them are motivated by their grades, believe it or not, because they're starting to understand. Which I didn't realize that this started in grade 9 because I did not understand this when I was in grade 9. But according to this teacher, they're starting to understand that their effort impacts their future. "Quote unquote," they are the owner of their consequences. And when I asked what's the role of like having fun or engaging, ways to incorporate the learning, they said that it's not really the learning itself, it's more like how to like internalize the learning, how to apply it to something more concrete. um, and then we talked a little bit about specific activities that they have seen in their classroom or the classrooms that they've observed. There's a platform called Knowledge Hook. It's basically a gamified platform where students are assigned certain missions. Most of it apparently is independent, although the platform supports group missions. This teacher said that they don't think it's much more engaging than working on problems from a book because it's just like a quiz app essentially. And it's just the alternative way of doing homework. But apparently it's used for like the independent side of things. What this teacher did find very effective were real world application problems that they have to craft themselves. So, for example, measuring and converting units, like, I don't know where I wrote this, but somewhere, oh yeah, here. Like, as an example, like measure certain areas outside of the school, like literally take the kids out of the school and measure the areas, and then determining hypothetical school garden plans given a set of constraints. So activities like that, like building mousetrap car, the $1 million project, which apparently is very well known, but I don't know it. That helps people understand financial literacy. They play board games to incorporate some concepts like data management and probability, which is neat. And another thing I learned is that teachers are increasingly using tools like ChatGPT to create math problems for those like application type, I guess, scenarios or like problems for the students to take away with. So as an example, the input would be like, here is my curriculum, here is my expectations as a teacher, and I am looking for activities that will help incorporate these concepts, come up with a rubric. How is that working? The activities were pretty okay, but the rubric and assessment criteria often need a lot of tweaking because of the specific like school board standards that they have to comply with. So that's one of the rabbit holes that I'm like, we can dig into it if needed, but not yet, not now. Couple constraints. So I think I already mentioned standardized curriculum materials, limited funding, which kind of goes into the next point, which is like making things more fun, means teachers are putting in oftentimes unpaid time and effort. And a lot of teachers are not doing that. So a lot of teachers are jaded and do not want to put in the extra effort, which honestly, I don't blame them. So anything to make their lives easier could be cool. Because this teacher is a supply teacher right now, they also mentioned that since they transitioned from, I guess, homeroom teaching to supply teaching, they have not really done any engaging activities in the classrooms because they have not formed enough of like a relationship with the students. There's not enough context on like the dynamics. Like, are there troublemakers? Are there, whatever, people who like fighting each other? So they did not feel comfortable taking a chance on like the more fun and engaging activities, which was interesting. And then lastly, high level of security required by school boards, especially if accounts are being created for students. And then I guess this one I already talked about at the start, which is just there's not enough me to do classroom management, which is interesting. I'm not going to go over like this list, but I just wanted to write down what are like the needs or and want statements for now. I think it doesn't matter at this point, but I have stored this as a part of the discovery artifacts somewhere here, so that if and when we get to a point where we care about teachers' real experiences, we can then start thinking about which opportunities are worth solving for first. Any
Cool.
surprises?
Pardon me, what was that?
Any surprises?
Um, no, no particular, I guess, major standout surprises here. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard um, in in structure. I feel generally schools are more designed to get students to conform
Yeah.
to whatever to whatever process the school feels. And it's a place for children to go while the parents go to work, and then the learning is kind of this incidental thing that happens because it's thrust upon people. I wonder what organizations would look like if they were designed around various ideas of learning. I don't know enough. I'd love to do more reading on that.
Yeah. I mean, there are like many non-public institutions, I guess educational institutions that do adopt different models, but they often are quite different. Like in
Hmm.
like usually like smaller classroom size. Like my mom was a teacher who was in one of those like non-public situations.
Oh, okay.
Definitely smaller classroom size, a lot more focus on the individual progress and
Right.
less competition as well. At least
Hmm.
is the idea, but I think people are also just, I don't know. I mean, this is another side tangent, but it feels like kids are naturally competitive, um, and I'm not sure
Hmm.
how much of that is like nature versus nurture.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I wonder. I think at least I know for me, uh, and I don't. I no longer have a keen idea of how the system works here in Canada now. But and I did not go to school in Canada from grade 0 to grade 7. I started grade 8 here. But even super early on, grades were like really important. Like the whole thing was around like, oh, what did so
Yeah,
and so get, and what did you get, um, and so that kind of thing is drilled into kids super early.
yeah, yeah, same. But I think for okay, side tangent. For me, I don't think it's about competing. It's about being liked. It's about like being liked by a teacher I liked.
Yeah, I
So I
guess.
did
And
I did well in the classes where I liked the teacher.
okay, interesting. Yeah, and I guess winners get liked.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right, good to know. All right.
Okay. Just quickly before I hand it
Mhm.
back to you, just I added all of the questions to this board, including
Oh
the
wow.
including the docs. I just kind of added them here so that you can see them in one place. Started. I think we only have one question type that we've skipped so far.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So I will
And
share
what's
this link.
what's this magical area called?
It's just called questions.
Questions. Okay. All right. Um.
That's
Huh.
it.
Interesting. It's appearing a little odd for me. Let me refresh and see if that fixes it. It doesn't want to refresh. Here, maybe I can begin to share my screen and show you what it looks like. I don't know if huh. Okay, yeah, let me share my screen.
I think my dog is crying. Just give me a sec.
Crying. Oh no, yeah, yeah. Do what's necessary. I'll begin to share my screen and talk through what's happening here. Okay. Alrighty. I'm still in yawning mode, so if people will excuse me if I yawn. Yeah, for some reason I'm seeing this text overlap. That did not seem to happen on Mary's screen, but I guess for now I'll just, I'll just read through. I'll just read through. Um,
Oh no, what
do you see what's
happened?
happening here? Oops.
Okay,
That
I think
is that
that's
happening to
my
you?
bad. It's not, but maybe that's because I was originally trying to copy and paste the questions,
I
and I was
see.
like, this is too much work. So then I ended up just taking screenshots, so we can delete those.
Okay. Okay. So I can just can I do I have this power of delete? I do not have this power of delete. So really, so I don't know why I'm laughing, but it's work that you have to do. In the meanwhile, I will return for now back to the non-magical Notion page, and then we'll continue from questions from where we left off. And then once Mary's happy and ready, we'll continue. So I do want to see if I can continue using our friend AI to convert things. And I believe I was able to do that here with saying convert this to text. I have to double check this, of course. So let me copy that. What is the area of a right triangle with legs? 5 and 12, and hypotenuse 13. Perfect. And that's the pattern I'll continue to use now. This is not where I started. So okay. Take a breath. Let's see where I was. I was trying to get Fitty to fit the text in the question. I decided overnight that I don't want to pursue this line of investigation. So we'll just undo all this code. Goodbye. And we'll just continue with the questions. And at the end of the day, because I feel like if I open the can of worms, I'm going to have more worms. So I'm just going to try for now to limit the number of worms. Let's eat the worms you have before you open another can of worms. That's what I always say. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Okay, so let me get my bearings. Questions. And I feel like here I've been doing this business of commenting and uncommenting questions. I don't love it. But I'm going to keep doing it, I guess. For now, and I'll figure things out. So I'm going to call this triangle area. And I'll start here by going to and just pasting this here. And this will be my question as is. And I have 3 variables, so I'm going to say A, B, and C. And I'm wondering whether there needs to be some kind of guidance on what with legs 5, 12, and hypotenuse 13. I feel like this could just be something like this, and I'll change the variable names in a second. So I have A, B, and C. No multiplying, super simple. Back to square one. And then my answer function, hopefully AI is smart enough to know what the answer should be, so I don't have to do it. Okay. It's getting all the values first. Is this how you calculate an area of the triangle? Let's just double check with AI, because we know that AI will get it right. Solve the problem. Give me a JS function that takes in and solves it. What am I looking at? Oh, not a valid right triangle. So, okay, so when I went, this is a good point actually. So when I went and I did my things, I need to produce a right triangle, which means that yeah, this is where these questions kind of get complicated. Is if these are the legs, I actually don't, what are legs? I guess the legs are the non-hypotenuse. Okay, so okay, let me think. How do I? Okay, if I'm generating random values for legs and h, how do I ensure a right triangle? I could do this thinking, I just am not as invested in trying to, whoa, what are you doing? Why are you dancing? Okay, because it's still trying to write. I want integers. I'm going to ask it one more question before I decide to continue with this question or not. Let's see. I'm trying to, because I don't necessarily want to do this kind of thing in the code right now. That's not my instinct. So it generates a random number that's at least 2. Okay. And then the second number is determined where n is less than m. Okay. Okay. Got it. And it's a random number where m is less than n. Perfect. And then we do this formulation oh, I see. First we generate an m and an n, and then we generate a, b, and h values. Oh, this is not simple.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be helpful if I looked at like maybe a couple questions ahead of what you're trying to work on now?
What would you be looking for? Gotchas?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'd like. Yeah.
Flagging some of
Sure.
them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how, so I'm getting some ideas on how I can implement this kind of a thing. I have some thoughts. They're not great. One is, so just following this kind of a pattern, let's say if I had like m and n. So I need two base numbers in order to generate a, b, and c, right? And then somewhere there'll be an a, there'll be a b, and there'll be a c. And then the value, so this is just an integer that's greater than 2. That's not a problem. We can generate an integer that's greater than 2 and less than 12, let's say. Now, the value of this, the min value of this, needs to be m. So, can I do this? Because that's kind of the thing that we've been doing broadly, or even this. Here, this obviously breaks my, but let's just say I can have a string. And then, oops, let me split the code. Mary, did you say, hey, let me look at future questions? Because Faisal here left a comment saying, what's Mary doing there, just staring at the screen? I just noticed this comment. Is that why you were like, hey?
No. I mean,
okay, yeah.
That's great too.
Faisal, I'll be honest, that sounds kind of rude. We're working we're working together here. To build this thing, but we're also just hanging out. There's times where Mary's doing design work and I'm just staring at the screen. Yes, and there's time where I'm doing coding work or driving, and Mary's staring at the screen. But also there's stuff on the screen. So she's not staring at a blank screen. You say like, which staring at the screen? Yeah, like there's. I'm on the screen. So yeah.
I was starting to, I think last session I was starting to get kind of interested in like how it's almost like you're working backwards from the questions on like, okay, like how is this question constructed? So I was kind of curious about how that goes, so I want to check out one of those questions.
Yeah. But yeah, go for it. Look at the questions. See if you find any things that we need to address. So my thinking is that now, even in the min and max, I can kind of designate and reference previous variables. Maybe I should just say, kind of still use my templating format here, and maybe later on I can deal and adjust with this. So let's see where I happen to be using min and max, which is over here. And now I'm getting a bunch of errors as well when I change it to string. And because now I need to check whether it's a string and do that variable replacement ahead of time. So I'll say let min is equal to, nice guess, but no, numerator min. So let's start with this. And now min here will be string or number. And then I need to say something like if this, then variables numerator min. Okay, yeah, I mean, this actually seems like a better way of doing it. Just grab the value. So my X process will be changed, or my M process. So this will just be M for now. I might run into issues later on, but I think I'm okay with going with this simplified version of getting the value. It might be null, so it doesn't like that. So let's just say, hey, just assume that there is a value there. And now, okay, min is never used. I want to use min here, but its designation is still string or number, even though we've done this kind of a thing. And so I think I can do something like this. Const min type of min this. If it's a number, do this. And I actually don't want to do if it's a number. I want to do if it's a string, do that. If it's a number, do this. And now I should have a number typed here, which means this should work. And we'll do the same thing for max, even though I am not using that yet. We'll do the same thing. And here I can go ahead and remove that. Okay, I can't do that. Yeah, not numerator, numerator min, numerator max, and we'll use those numbers here because I need to do the same thing here with the denominator. And here again, I'm very comfortable repeating code for now. And here, what else is happening? Variable. So here I was doing it for a fraction generation. And here I need to do it for everyone. So there's a lot of repetition. But again, we'll deal with it later. Const variable min, const variable max, and then that will get replaced here, variable min, variable max, and so on. And now it is kind of the duty of the person generating the question template to ensure that they're not using any variables that don't exist up until that point. Okay, so now we have an m, and then we have an n that depends, that uses the min value here. Cool.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
I just learned that there is such a thing as what's called Pythagorean I cannot pronounce that word.
Pythagorean?
Pythagorean triplets.
Yeah.
Like, can we cheat by just using a known list of triplets?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So in the AI version here, Mary, it said Pythagorean triplets, and but it gave us a formula to generate them. So it'll generate a base one and it'll generate the rest. But if there is a list, yes, that might cause other challenges. Do you have a link for this list?
I'll send it to you.
Oh, it's just a list.
Yeah, it's a
Got
list.
it. Okay.
I guess I'm thinking about like how complex the problems are gonna get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think it would be more than, I don't know, 30.
Sure, I see what you mean. And there's only a subset of values that will happen. So I'm trying to think how we can accommodate this. Okay, so we have these values, and the thing is, if it's this, then these two have to be these, which is really not how the rest of this is designed. So let's have a quick think of how we can do this. Okay, I have some ideas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 values that we have. So would I be able to do something like index and generate a number from 1 to 10, let's say? And A can be, type integer is fine. Sorry, let me just think. What if I said 1 of, like type 1 of, and values? And then here I had 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 11, 12, 20. So I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in this case. There's 2 9s here, but I guess we could just maybe, not that we have to, but we could probably just remove one of these. Whoops. Why is that happening? Okay. So I have one of these values. And then, oh no, what am I doing? Sorry. Undo, 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 undo. So index is this, and this can be one of values. And so one of these values will be picked. And then maybe I can also define an index to force a value. And in this case, I'll just use this variable index, which I'll call I in this case, just so there's a clear difference of what's happening here. So whatever values I is generated, and then if index is null, it'll randomly generate. It'll randomly pick from this list. I don't love one of, but the idea being that this could potentially be like, it could be a string, it could be words, it could be anything, a list of things, and one of them will get picked. Now you can either force which one will get picked by specifying a variable, but if you leave it null, then one will randomly get picked. So that allows us to do this kind of a thing. And then here, I'll continue with the one of, and the values here will become, and let's verify this, 4, 12, 8, 24, 15, 12, 40. So we don't want the 40. We want 60, 16, 21. We could. Let's fine. Let's keep it. And now this is generally 1 to 10. It's interesting how the AI here, well, first of all, I didn't know until I maybe got to here to complete. And when it did, it skipped the double nines. But here, it just pulled this list. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing with index here. And here, one of. And let's see if it does the right thing. 5, 13, 10. 25, 17, 15, 41, 61, 20, and 29. Okay, that looks good. And then index. And now I have to go back up here and create a variable one of. One of, and type will be one of, and it will have values of any, actually, because I could specify, I suppose, number or string. And then value will be number or null, and then index will be string or null. Or number, why not? Just so it looks more fluid, let's go number or null. Okay. And then let's add one of to our list. Now let's make it work. And then I guess there's, let me go back here. How would I solve this step by step as a grade 6 student? While I try and make this work. So I need to account for one of as I'm building this. Okay, let's go. Mary, I think we lost Faisal. I think Faisal, I think
We
Faisal
called him
left.
rude.
We called him rude and then he left. I feel like it's a poor strategy if you're trying to get subscribers, you know?
Well, I appreciate it.
I didn't even see that until later. Okay, so I'm generating variables, so I need here to add another type, one off, and let's see if our friend AI just magically does what I intend. So index, if it's string, grab a value, but here index can still be number or null. And then here I can say let, or no, maybe I can say something like const index value is equal to Hamad, today is probably not the last for this project. This project is, we've been working on it for a month. And we have quite a bit of work to do before we start a new one. And maybe I'm curious, and maybe while I'm coding this last little bit, Mary, maybe you can answer this question, which is, would you be up to, because I know you want to work on something that that you asked for, that nobody asked for. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But you had sent me some messages earlier today, yes, through internet chatting mechanisms. And you had said, hey, here's a video that says designers should get in like super early into, like business development, right? And I feel like you should actually try and come up with not coding for one, but coding for many, designing and coding for many, using AI. And then I can stare at the screen.
Would you like to stare at the screen?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think this is very close to the stream that I had proposed to you before.
That's true.
But now the only difference is now you use AI as a driving force. So somebody who's not as, Mary has a little bit of coding experience, not as much as me, of course.
Of course.
But I think it'd be an interesting way of even demonstrating these like posts that we see. It's like, okay, well, somebody said that as designers we should get in early for a business, not just like for a personal project that I want to play with. For a user of one, it was for like to build your business ground up, and let's validate that. I mean, we don't have to, because there's a lot of work on you, but maybe you can answer that while I continue to code.
Yeah, maybe. For context, this is a video from Y Combinator, I think. So somebody from Y Combinator, I don't actually know who kind of posted a video that said we need more design founders, both in Y Combinator in particular, but also in general. And a big part of why I'm here is I want to learn from Adnan, because he's so experienced, how to think like an engineer. And I think I've been very fortunate to, I feel like I am learning. It's not explicit learning, I would say. It's more like, okay, like I'm watching how you're like approaching problem solving. And I think that itself is very valuable. But I'm definitely itching to just try something as well. I had this message that I did not send you because you have a day job, and I was trying to respect your time. But I was thinking about like creating a simple like Chrome extension for formatting recipes. Like just like that's all there is to this this idea is just I want to pull recipes from different sources and have them going to the one like going to one place, and I want them formatted to my liking, because again I'm designing for nobody except for myself. um, yeah, so that's the thing that I'm like, maybe this is like small enough that I can tackle, because I have ideas that are like I'm like I can't do this.
But we want something that you can potentially sell to someone. Remember, like the Y combo guy said, for products, not for like,
This
user
is
of
true.
one. And I wonder how your approach would change, right? If in that kind of project, and you're thinking, but definitely to one of the points you made earlier, which is, I think, because we did do coding lessons together earlier, and I feel like those are far more geared towards like experiencing the struggle and learning and expanding your own learning yourself. I wonder how much, like, I feel like in order to really benefit from watching people code, it helps to have a better basis of having gone through some coding lessons yourself before. And then you're kind of adding on, versus, because that gap just increases when, if I do something, and maybe I'm moving too fast, or maybe it's something that you're not as familiar with, then it just takes longer to bridge that gap.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think I definitely have gotten lost, like when you're going through some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, like the math part, I think the math parts I actually have been following pretty okay. It's actually the pre Katex stuff that I would get lost on, like what is happening.
The pre-K, sorry, what was that?
The pre Katex related stuff.
K-tech stuff. Got it.
Yeah, like
Um,
when you were building out the logic of how the app works.
got it. Okay. Yeah.
Because
The
you were
flow
just
in there.
moving like very fast.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That is fair.
But I think the other thing is like, I do think it's important to design for yourself first and then scale.
I see. Yes, that is also.
Because like if you wouldn't even use it, like how can you expect anybody else want to use it?
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Got it. So, okay. Well, think about it. Yeah. So maybe it is this. What did you say? Recipe something something. I missed that last little bit.
I don't know what it is yet. Something small. Like I want to keep the scope small enough so that I'm not like gonna give up.
A recipe collector, a recipe.
Yeah, a recipe.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it as like a collection, but also like cleaner. Like I'm thinking of it like a like you know how like when you search for a recipe, they're all like in wildly different formats, and like sometimes there's like a whole story about like their grandmother's childhood.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, I don't care about all that. I just want the recipe itself, and I want it in a specific format that I like. I'm like, I want it in grams, you know, like I want it in grams and milliliters. I don't want it in tablespoons and cups or whatever. And I think everybody have their own preferences.
Okay. Yeah. This is actually a great project. It's a great project where you can use AI as API as well. And so, okay. So I'd
when
like
you hear
you.
that, when you hear that, does it feel like it can be de-scoped further?
Yeah, we can do it in pieces, right? So we don't necessarily have to, because there's so many components of it. that need to work all together, right? So there's the Chrome extension aspect. So you're browsing and you happen to come across a recipe, right? And you click and you're like, I want parse this recipe page for me and give me the, you know, the most
the
important.
shiny
Take
version.
the humanity out of it. Take the human. I just want the facts, and we could call it facts only recipes, right? Just the facts recipes. And so you're like, give me the facts, give me the steps. I don't need to learn about your history and all that detail. I don't start making it sound mean, but on purpose. But I understand. So so there's many aspects. I think when you build out the Chrome plugin, it comes with a number of steps that you have to take, get it working, testing, and everything. But maybe the crux of it is really taking a web page and getting the data out of that web page. And we could do that without building a Chrome extension. And then later, when we have the core functionality working, we can say, hey, let's take that and dump that core functionality into the Chrome extension. And now let's focus on the button clicking aspects and connecting and pulling the data. So there's steps that we can definitely do and plan it out. So if you come up with if you come up with what you want, we can build it.
I want all of it. No, I'm kidding.
So I think I think a great way to start would be to just collect a few different types of web pages that have these recipes and say, look, this is kind of what I'm expecting out of it. Here's the web page and here's the result I expect. So kind of manually doing that work. And then we can say, how do we solve this problem? And then do that step by step.
So I have, I guess, played with this idea through like building a GPT, like on the OpenAI like GPT store or whatever. And there's zero like coding, but it works fairly well. And I almost want to show it maybe towards the end.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, absolutely. So we want to do this. Use the formula for a right triangle. A times B. It's like check formula, calculate, answer. Now I'm kind of mildly confused. Because okay, yeah, got it. So the area for right triangle is given by base times height in half. So did we even need to do all of that?
Yeah, does the hypotenuse
even matter? Yeah, I'm like, why did I? This is why like just being removed from. Although adding this type was pretty cool. I think it's will come in handy later. But okay, fine. Like we'll just so C I can just say is H, and then find the area of the triangle. I think here I kind of just missed the heart of the question, and that's fine.
It's a tricky question. Like they gave you a number that
is not relevant.
Matter.
Yeah. And it tricked us.
Yeah, it tricked us.
So yeah, I'm not thrilled about that just for myself, but maybe we can revisit this question later to see what and how it should be addressed. But for now, let's go. And I forget, I was going to try and solve the question a different way before, but I've already forgotten. And to solve this kind of spacing issue for now, because I don't want to mess with anything else, I'm just going to make it smaller in the code. That way, let's say 1.5. And that should be enough for us to just be able to read it, and then we'll deal with it that way. This I need to change to H. The rest of this looks pretty good. Okay, I just need to set my, okay, there we go. And okay. And I'll do the same here. And later on, I'm going to go through each one of these questions and reorganize it so that I can just see it better. Okay. Assuming this is correct, but I don't know. Let's go with it. Okay, so we have another question, and I am happy to commit. This also just uncomment this stuff before I commit, and I'll review the code and commit it. So here, okay, I never pursued this line, right? Turning this into a string, never really pursued it, but that's fine. We ended up creating one of, and use this kind of hack to say, let's generate an integer and then indicate that we want it, and we now pick a group, which might come in handy to solve other kinds of problems, but even if it doesn't, I like that it's available, even for just this one question. And here, all I did was change the styling. So adding triangle area question. Okay. Let's see if this is cleaned up. Looks like it. And here, I'm going to skip. Oh, is this what you were? Oh, you were doing math.
I was doing math.
Okay, so Michael Phelps swam the first of 3 laps in 22 seconds.
You got a big question.
How many tech crises I've seen in the last 2 decades? That's so okay. This is a pretty big question. How about I have been coding professionally since 2004, so that would be 21 years now. I feel, yeah, so I suppose I've been through multiple types of crises, right? In 2008, there was a economic crash, went through that. There have been various levels of technology shifts, either making things easier for developers. Like our tooling is amazing right now. Although we have sort of this threat / excitement of AI both at this time. But I feel like the future for programmers or anybody is like, if you can be good at the basics. So here's the difference, where we spoke about this yesterday. Like a calculator is deterministic. It will give you, plus 2 plus 2, it'll give you the right answer. It's also correct. It's both deterministic and correct. AI is neither of those things all the time, right? So AI is non-deterministic and also incorrect many times. So you can't lean on it the same way you would lean on a calculator, which means that your ability to judge correctness in a system where there are incorrect things happening becomes more important. But then you can't rely on the thing that's giving you incorrect answers to judge correctness. which means you need to build a basis of understanding for yourself, unfortunately. So you can't just pump everything into ChatGPT. I'm saying this right now as I've been pumping things into ChatGPT all day today. But that's the whole aspect of it is I think understanding correctness matters, and you need to have a basis for which you can understand correctness. Which means actually spending when all the students are just like pumping stuff into ChatGPT, getting their answers, dumping their essays, doing their math questions. If you spend the extra time in understanding what's actually happening and learning the basics and the fundamentals, you will probably stand out. For me, assuming that I had stood out, the way that I had done it was actually like when I started as a student developer. I got a job, and I was like, oh wow, and I just started reading books. So the first job I had was in Perl, so they were coding in Perl. I didn't know Perl much at all back then. I bought the O'Reilly Llama book and another book. There were two Perl books that O'Reilly had. I bought both of those books, and I read them from cover to cover, right? And eventually what happened was and I didn't memorize them, but I read them and I built sort of an index in my head of like, oh, Perl has these features. I could do this kind of a thing. Here's how you make things simpler, what have you. And you could do this with any language, any subject. And once I'd done that, I realized, oh, I'm making suggestions in the code now based on what I had learned. Because your brain triggers it, right? I didn't have to kind of go to another source and type it into Google. Your heart doesn't even know, can this be improved? Should I even bother improving it? But when you build an index in your head of something, even as you scan code, your mind already tells you, oh, you've seen this before. You've seen something like this before, which again, you can't do when you're rely on Google search or AI, because you have to actively go there. And you're not going to scan and go. Like that's not. But if you get to a point where you can scan something and rely on the index in your mind, that helped me a lot, because even Google search wasn't that great back then. It turns out it got better, but it wasn't great. And then I also realized that my peers never really like read books that much. And it turned out that even I, as a student, knew more about the Perl language than they did. And I was able to solve problems or, fix things in different ways. And so the technology doesn't matter. Back then it was Perl. Tomorrow's going to be TypeScript or whatever AI prompting or what have you. But I think the general things will remain the same, which is your understanding of the fundamentals, and then your verifying for correctness, your ability to verify for correctness will help you as you go on, I think. Yeah, that's my rant. And Mary switched this programming to, I don't know how to get it back, Mary. Oh, you maximized. There we go. All right. Any thoughts on that, Mary? Anything to add on to that?
I mean, I was just gonna say that I was at a virtual conference about using AI in coding today, coincidentally, and I think I sent this quote to you, but one of the speaker was like, AI and I, we're like partners, except I have a very unreliable partner. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was very, I think it was very grounded. I think this was like the first, I guess, public event I went to where it was talking about AI, where people have a more balanced view on how the tool is going to get used, versus I think all the other stuff I've seen is very like just either we're doomed or like hype train.
Okay, here's an additional thing about AI. So this is not necessarily related to your question, Hamad, but I feel like we're on the cusp of something bad happening as a result of heightened AI reliance. I don't know what that thing will be, but as like things like financial institutions start, like there'll be some pressure somewhere. Mark Zuckerberg goes on there and says, AI is making so many devs more productive. AI. You have, Toby from Shopify going, we're not going to hire people unless you can justify that AI can't do this job, and so on. Toby, mind you, who said that everything had changed after COVID and we now live in a new world. And then like a year later, we were back in that old world. That Toby is like AI, AI, AI. And then, and eventually, and there's a lot of pressure. People are coming in and be like, hey, I spent some time in this conference, these conferences, not the conference Mary went to, but these other conferences that are super hyping AI. And top down, you're going to get a lot of pressure to implement things. And people are going to go, well, oh, this dev is going to take what? A month to build this feature? No, we'll get Cursor to do it in 10 minutes. And then checking slow. It's not gonna happen in an instant, but kind of slowly will like that pattern. I was discussing this with a friend earlier today. Is people are going to rely on AI more, and then things are going to break more because like you're going to stop checking as often for correctness. And then, something is going to happen at a financial institution. Something's going to happen at your power plant. Something's going to happen. Although I would assume that these institutions would be smart enough not to rely on AI, but the pressure is so intense right now. It's like, it's like Kim Kardashian was selling those like Web3 monkeys. It's like, what does she know about him? And Jimmy Fallon and Kim Kardashian were like, buy these monkeys, and they have no idea why. They're just jumping on the bandwagon. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now with AI. They're jumping on the bandwagon. There's a lot of pressure. And so I'm just waiting to see like when that will happen. And then there'll be a rush of people that will need to correct either these mistakes and maybe, maybe that will be the next crisis in tech, is sort of this AI correctness wave. Yeah, it's going to be fun, I think.
It's going to be fun. Have you seen, I'm going to assume nobody has seen this show, but it's called Pantheon. It's literally one of my favorite shows.
Mm-hmm. Have not seen it, no.
It's interesting. It touches on some of the things you're talking about. I'm not going to give it away, of course.
And it has to do with AI as well?
It has to do with what they call uploaded intelligence.
Interesting. And this is like, how old is the show?
2022, 2023. There's only 2 seasons, I think. One of those shows that like really left an impact on me.
Okay. So Michael Phelps swam the first of 3 laps in 22 seconds. If the average of the 3 laps was 24 seconds, what was the average of the second and third laps? Is this hard? Is this hard to do?
I don't think it is.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe
I wrote it down in not code.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we can work on it and try and implement it. Let's see. So I will copy this. I'll comment the rest of it. And the reason I'm commenting the rest of it is so that when I generate my next game is I get that question immediately. And let's call this Phelps swim. Get rid of that. And let me begin now by pasting this here. Yep, that's the whole question. And then I think, what did I do the last time? Okay, yeah, that works. I can actually just come in here and say, so I'm the first of like total laps, right? Total laps. I'm trying to maybe name my variables a little bit better, because even for my own thinking process, like when I look at A, B, and C, I'm getting lost in what even the question was, how I'm supposed to answer it. So I'm the first of total laps in this, so first lap time. If the average of the 3 laps, so this is still total laps, right? Same variable, was 24 seconds. So average time was the average of the second and third laps. Okay, great question. Cool. Okay, so we're going to need a total laps, and well, total laps is 3 all the time because you can't have. So I didn't necessarily need to do that. So I'm actually not going to generate a variable just because I misread this stuff early on. So this becomes 3 again. So really what we have is first lap time and then average time. First lap time. Hamad, if you're still around, what do you think the, kind of what the future of programming is, and what crises have you seen in your time? So first lap time, let's just say this can be an integer, and we'll go back to the min-max business that we were working with, and maybe we could do something like 15 to 30. And then if the average of so the average can vary, because I was thinking, does the average need to be dependent on this value? And it doesn't, right? Because then your final calculation, so that we should be fine. Average time. This could also be an integer. I feel like min. Yeah, we could do this. Sure, why not? I mean, I don't think it makes a difference, right? But maybe I'm wrong. And then let's see if we can't get an answer from our friends, from our AI friend. Okay, I feel like it is trying to know how to do this. Yeah, this is right. Yeah, so you get the total time minus this time divided by the remaining number of laps. And here we don't want to. AI took your job away, Mary. You did all that math, and this is literally a case where AI has taken a job.
I mean, I actually didn't do the math. I was pretty much writing what you wrote in
okay,
words.
all right. Okay. I feel like this is fine. And I'm happy to test it now on the internet. So Hamad says, "Thank you, sir." I'm still getting used to being called sir on the internet. And then I started Python in CS to find a project to strengthen my fundamentals. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And one of the things to do is to make sure that you're doing many projects. Many small projects, I think, can sometimes be better than one big project, because repetition is so important. A lot of times people will get bored because they're like, I've done this thing before. I don't want to do it again. I want to do something new. And sometimes new is the enemy of internalization, where it's important to internalize the fundamentals. And one of the better ways of doing that is by doing the same thing over and over. And then that really those patterns get really internalized. So when you get to the keyboard the next time and you're at work and somebody asks you to do something very similar to what you've internalized, it becomes a lot easier. Okay, where were we? I need to modify this question. So one of the things I'm noticing is this question naturally is broken down. And so I feel like I should break that question down as well. And I did not do that here. So text / new line and then / text. And then maybe I can new line here and / text. let's see. Yeah, much more legible. I would have liked this to be justified this way here, but I'm not going to focus on that. I just feel like, even at this size, can I just fit my question in here? And then as I build questions that are fitting, then we're fine. Eventually, I think we should get a math teacher to verify all these answers.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe that's the first play testing is just math teachers.
Is this, yeah. Actually, that's what it should be, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you want to put this in front of students? Can you even do this? Okay, and we didn't have to add any new elements to do this question, so this was nice. Hopefully we can, in the next little bit, get through a few more questions. So
the next two are both like simple multiplication and division questions, which I'm not sure if I guess it's just about like inserting the text.
Yeah, grunt work. Right?
Which
yeah.
AI should be good at, right?
Which I should be good at, but also and for me, it's repetition, right? Like this is the point where, in a project, it's so easy to get bored and be like, I'm not doing anything novel or new. And
so do you get bored?
I don't think I do.
No?
I might, but I'd like to think I don't. Not like I'm too deep to get bored now. And I feel like the grunt work is the work.
Okay, so like once you've invested enough.
Yeah. So I'm going to call this question map scale. And we'll start with the question. And here, I'm going to end here. And I'm going to use this new line /text. And let's wrap it up. And then on a scale, it indicates, that's interesting. Okay. 1 cm is equal to some, so I'll make this a variable, right? Scale kilometers. How many kilometers do blank centimeters represent? And here, okay, value to scale, I'll call this. And then let's go create. So these are two variables, scale and value. And then scale here is 42 kilometers. So I feel like I can probably get something like scale and even do something like 30 to 50 maybe. It's a random number from 30 to 50. And value to scale can be a decimal. And let me take a look at how decimal is defined. And I hope that, yes, we did it. Decimal places is there. Great. I'm going to leverage that to say decimal places 1. And then have this be a fairly small number. So maybe go from something like 2 to even to the 5, maybe. And then let's see if our friend AI can't solve it for us. Scale times value to scale. How many km do 3 point? Don't you just multiply? What am I missing? Do you just multiply 42 by 3.5?
It's just a multiplication.
So you take scale times value to scale.
Yeah.
Then why are we dividing by 1,000?
Good question. Yeah, I don't know.
You know that mistake that NASA made about converting units? I don't know if that's true. Is that a real thing? And then they lost a shuttle or something? No, you've never heard of
I
this?
have not heard of this.
I don't even know if it's real.
Okay. You're saying you might be spreading misinformation.
No, I think when you admit that it may or may not be real, I think that you know.
Okay, so you're good.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not intentionally doing that. Okay, let's generate this question. Yeah, at this rate, we're going to take a while to finish all the questions. So 39 times 2.4. That should be the, right? 2.4 times 39 is 93.6 kilometers. It's actually exact. It's, there's no real approximation here. Even though we're rounding here, because this is just one decimal place and this is always an integer, I don't foresee this like major issue here. This will be fairly clear. Even I feel like if it's rounded to 2, everybody will know. Okay, I am ready. So I'm actually going to stop commenting on commenting, and that way I can just. So I just realized something. My computer is running out of battery, and okay, we're back because it got loose. Okay, I have some chocolate here that I haven't eaten. Okay.
Have you eaten anything on stream?
Online? No, I don't believe I've eaten anything on stream.
One of these days.
I've had something to drink. So I'm happy with this. Right now?
Yeah.
Are you trying to get me to eat the chocolate?
I don't know, maybe.
Wow. Wow. Just tempting me. So I'm going to leave a bunch of this commented out. This diff is really hard to read, actually, but probably because the types of code that I changed here. Let me just get back in here and just reread Phelps swim. This should have, because I commented it out. That's fine. Okay, let me. Let me see again here. I'm happy to commit. I don't think I need to understand this entire div. Adding. What was the question called? Oops. Map scale question. I messed up. No, it's fine. It's fine. Just trying to see if I messed up. No. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna see how many questions I can knock out in the next few minutes. If 125 equally priced tickets are sold for a total of.
This is just a division.
Simple division.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll still use AI to convert this. I mean,
see if it does something weird again.
Yeah, not just that. It's just please convert this to text. I'm doing this so that it costs OpenAI millions of dollars. You know about that, right, Mary? Yes. The please thing. Okay, yeah. It also works if you swear. It's just processing extra words. It doesn't matter what the words are. If 125 equally priced tickets are sold for a total of blah, how much did each ticket cost? That looks good to me. And there's a natural split at the question mark. So I'm going to now try and just use that every time. So we'll call this question ticket cost. And let's start with that. And then here, I can go ahead and add a new line. If X number of equally priced tickets are sold for a total of blah, how much did each ticket cost? Do you think, Mary, this question cares about like should this be a multiple of 5? That's what my instinct was. But let's see. Tickets sold for a total of blah. So total price.
So you're thinking that's to make it easier?
I actually don't know if it makes it easier or not. I just wonder if the intent of the question, like, why is this not 124? I wonder. But then when I look at this, it doesn't seem like there's a direct thing here. Do we know what the answer to this question is?
Yes. It's $1.10. So it's the total cost divided by the number of tickets.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually generate this question in this way. I am going to first have an answer, which is cost, right? So have cost, and I'll generate cost as a decimal from, let's say, 1 to 3, and then 1 decimal place.
I also just realized it's like, what are these tickets for?
These super cheap tickets?
Yeah, what are they for?
There might be a raffle.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of just turning the problem. It's not, you're not going to a concert for that much. Okay.
Maybe like what are those called? Like the arcade thingies?
Yeah, arcades as well. Yeah. So I have tickets. Oh, we have Hamad saying, "Sir, today most of the influencers promote AI overtaking programming. This promotion is a big crisis. It's like toxic. I think if people depending on AI in the beginning, it's a problem." Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. At the same time, it's an amazing technology for as much as I'm disparaging it. Like, I could take a screenshot and it's gonna give me the words, and then I can ask, like, that's amazing. I feel like it's just the taste of it has been reduced for me, given how overhyped. I feel like we could properly hype it, and it's actually like, it's mind blowing. And I feel like my joy for the technologies is being dampened by this overhypeness. All right, so number of tickets. How many tickets? 125 divided by 5 is 25. So I'm going to say something like 20 to 30, and then we'll say multiply by 5. And that'll give us cost, and then total price. And total price, I believe I have derived, which is a formula, is going to be derived value of this. Right? And then total price will get derived, and then this will become super simple. This just becomes return. It wants to return cost to fixed. Yeah, I think we can do that. Why not? Let's see how that goes. It is returning Katex. So if X number of tickets equally priced, blah, 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 total price. This is kind of nice, actually. This sort of versus like writing code to solve the problem. Why not just simplify it in terms of how we can think about it? So start with a simple answer and then build the question. Okay, let's go. No, that's not it. Also, those are all the things I never did. That list of My to-do list.
The toodaloo.
Toodaloo, yeah. Sounds right. I don't know. This can't be wrong because it's a derived problem. It looks nice. I think once we figure out the sizing of this stuff it looks very nice. I must say.
I wonder who designed it.
I'd love to know too.
Yeah. Let me know if you find out.
You know what? I'm not even that curious, to be honest. Sorry. You think you think Fessel was rude? Have you met me? Okay, ticket cost question. So I like this. We're actually moving through this faster now. When I'm not ranting. Ticket cost question. Thanks for joining the stream, Hamad. And yeah, thanks for your questions and your insights as well. Have a great night. Have a beautiful night. Okay, so we have a ticket cost question. Let's see what the next few questions are. Simple division. Yeah, for you, maybe, Mary. Hey, this is the question that you used. I thought you used this question because of my name. It turns out no. turns out you plucked it from here.
Yes.
H1AI convert to text. Yeah. Although I know you have it converted to text already.
I do not. I do not.
Do you not? If I went in the formula, or sorry, if I went in the Figma.
No.
I'm already in Figma.
Yes.
I thought you had this converted. You use this example. You use this question as an example
that's
on
true.
one of the.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you even? Who designed this thing? Some other person.
I don't know.
We still need to find out. See, I knew I was right.
Someone who's clearly very forgetful.
Okay, so practice for if she continues the same regimen for the whole year, how many hours does she practice? Oh, okay, this is a nice question. Big fan. Okay, let's call this practice. Practice time. And let's start with the question as it is, right? And let's actually break it into legible bits. And the next natural break would be here. Okay, and let's find the variables in here. So hours practiced, weeks. I practice for hours over a week period. And now we want weeks to be let's see. I'm just thinking weeks. There's 52. 52 is divisible by. It's nicely divisible by even numbers. Right? So I feel like I want an even number here. So let's say min is 1, so 2, because I'm going to multiply by 2 to get weeks, and then 6, 4, 8, 5, 10 weeks, also fine. I don't know. Can't practice that much. And then hours practiced. So here it's 45 hours, and it's not a big deal either way. And so we'll say, yeah, anywhere from 20 to, let's say, 60 hours. Oh, 45. Is that a deal? Is this a multiply 5? I feel like it's simple enough that we don't need to necessarily do that. And let's see if, so, okay, fine. I'll accept this and we'll see. Weeks, hours. What? What are you doing? What is this?
It's like counting the number of hours. Weeks.
Yeah, days, hours, and then multiplying it by the number of hours and saying that's your answer. That doesn't, that, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to think out, but that does not seem right to me. So you kind of want to go 52 weeks in a year divided by the number of weeks, 2, and 26 times 45, right? That's the formula.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the formula is 52 divided by week. So now that I put in 52, it knows. And I feel like we can round. Sure, we can do the rounding business and then rounded answer hours. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Don't know if it needs to be rounded either. But that's fine. Yeah, let's go with it. Okay, let's see what this looks like.
So what's your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert?
Yes. Are you a dessert person?
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. 162.5. Let me just check this answer. What's my favorite dessert?
Could it be chocolate?
I do like chocolate, but I think there's like an Indian dessert made with like almonds that I quite enjoy. So the type of dessert is called a halwa. That's the word. But then you can have like different types of halwa. Like some of them are made out of carrots, some of them are made out of.
How do you spell that?
Halwa. I mean, you spell it in Hindi or Urdu, but that's the transliteration. Halwa. And we have a practice question. What's your favorite dessert?
I don't know if I have one. I think I like cheesecakes.
Cheesecakes, classic. Oh, this is Fibonacci.
Yeah.
I don't even want to do this question, to be honest.
Oh my god. Wait, why?
I know you were like, yeah, Fibonacci.
Why?
And I'm like, get rid of it. Because you can't really randomize it, You could start at a different point in the series.
That's true, yeah. I guess so.
Okay, let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers. We don't have a series generator. We did come across a question that had series, and the way that I decided to approach it was to try to find it now. Was to have a start and then kind of use the formula to generate the next number. I feel like we could just do that here. and then practice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know you started with like a super excited, like Fibonacci, yeah, and I was like, what? Only because of that reason.
Because of what? Because I was excited.
No. Yes.
I don't believe you. No, I'm kidding.
Because of the randomization. Every number in the series is the sum of the previous two. I don't know if does it work with negative numbers, Mary? Would you know? Or does it have to start with 0 and 1 or 1 and 1?
I'm not knowledgeable enough in math to answer that.
Well, I can't write here, but like if I had -1 and 0, the sum of those numbers is -1, so it wouldn't work. So min is 0, max, let's say, is I guess it doesn't matter. And you need two starting numbers. Oh, am I being...
You're being granted the power.
Oh, wow. What a day. This is literally the best day of my life. Okay, so I'm just trying to think, because the Fibonacci series is a very recognizable series because it starts with these two numbers. I'm curious whether I can start with any two numbers, but maybe the variation of that came. So maybe we could come up with our own fib series. So an integer between 0 and 3, let's just say. And we'll do the same here. No, that doesn't work. No, it does. It does work. It does work.
If you want to skip it, we can skip it.
No, I don't want to skip it. Now it's almost a different fib. It's like a fib prime. I want to exclude, but I want to exclude start, because this is like, I could call this first maybe, and I could call this second. And I'm not going to do an exclude here. And then I kind of want an exclude here, but I want this exclude to be first, which doesn't work because exclude is specifically. So now string or number, and now I want to then replace this later on when we get there. And then moving forward, so we have two numbers. Sum of the next number is the sum of the previous two. So it's going to be plus. Well, there's no start. So first plus second. And this number should now be second plus A. Yes. And then this number should be A plus B. And then this number. So it's not your regular fib. It's your random starting point fib. So it's not immediately recognizable. So now the question is, and all I had to do was give it a chance. My first instinct was, it's too recognizable. And then the other idea was, what if we started at a random point? But then the problem with starting at the random point in fib is I kind of need to know, I need two numbers. And so if I start at a random point here, then, or like a generated random point. I mean, then I have to write a formula to determine like two sister numbers or two brother numbers in the pattern. But what if we did this? What if we just generated our own pattern that follows the same rules? And now I have answer. That's wrong. Okay, fine. Oh no, answer is correct. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. That's a lot of numbers, and that should be enough to generate the pattern. Find the next number in the pattern. That's correct. New line, and here we have first up the D, and then the answer is the answer. Sweet. Let's see if Mary can't solve this next question.
Wait, am I solving the question?
Yeah, what's the answer?
15.
We did it. But isn't that not like a much more like it's harder?
Yeah, that's cool.
You were able to answer it because you knew what the pattern was. But I think just even determining this pattern, look at that. How are you going to determine this pattern in this much time?
Yeah.
Well, this is just 10 seconds. So we'll give one of the things I was thinking we could also do with each question time is like time allotted. Come on. There you go. See, this is who I am now. I'm just like, you got it. I won't type it in anymore. That's how lazy you become. It's like playing a game. I'm like, will it get it right? Anyway, so we could do this, and then based on the question and its difficulty, the time can be different, and then maybe there's a default allotted time. I think that'd be a very nice thing to do.
So one thing I noticed, and I don't know if I'm interpreting it correctly, but one of the docs with the B questions had, like in the title, if you click on my little icon on the top right corner, had like this stuff here. And I think it means like the questions stay the same, but in round 1, it's 40 seconds. In round 2, it's 30 seconds.
Oh, interesting.
I think, but I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, it could be. Well, it says round 140, and it says 40 questions for round 1. So I don't know if it's time or if it's number of questions. But is that all there is? Is that the whole document?
Is on the doc, yeah.
Oh no.
This doc has 2 sets. Like there's round 2 questions.
Yeah. And round 3. Okay.
Oh yeah, round 3 too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's actually take a stock at where we are. Oh, this is the red dot from where we started or left off?
Yeah.
So let's move this.
No. Move it back.
Move it back. Oh no.
This is the red dot for marking question we skipped, but we can.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We can do a different.
No, good
shape.
point. You lied to me. I felt so good.
You like moving it around. Okay, let's do like.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions remaining. 10 questions remaining technically. So we did fib. I want to see maybe if we can't do these 2. Let's see if we can't finish on this page today. Order from smallest to largest. And here we're generating a fraction, which we can do. Here we're generating a decimal value. But this value is like these values are the same. And I think that's intentional. And then that's 50%, which is equivalent to this thing, which I also don't think is incidental. That's probably purpose. And notice that this is like very close to that. So how do we deal with that? Like, I don't think it necessarily needs to follow this format. Like, I know that's what the spirit of the question is, but I think we don't have to follow it all the way through. But let's see. Let's see what we can do.
Question.
Mhm.
I think we've already done an ordering question
Mhm.
of sorts. I don't
We
think
have,
it has
yes.
I don't think it has percentage.
It doesn't have percentage. And I think that's what this question is sort of
Yeah.
probably bringing about, this like variation here, and then very similar, like, you know, dot notation, or not dot, but like decimal point numbers. And so I think we have everything to generate this kind of a question. So I'm happy to do it. It shouldn't take that long. And then what is this one? What is the sum of three consecutive even integers whose middle number is 2? And what is the sum of three consecutive
This one
even
I had to
integers?
I had to use AI.
Did you get it? Where's the solution?
So, okay, let me just copy it. Solution here.
Oh, wow. Oh, consecutive even integers. That's where the answer is. I think we can do both of these. I'd be happy if we could, because it feels nice to just finish on the page. But if not, like if it's taking too much time, if either one of these is taking too much time, I'm happy to quit.
Yeah, I think this question,
Mhm.
it would be more complicated if we want to deal with like even and odd, maybe.
I see. But also, can this question be randomized? No. It'll always be this. So maybe I'm thinking we don't include it. Not that we shouldn't include any questions that are not randomizable, but then I think the whole point of this is to randomize.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like if it's not randomizable, then we should just enable people to add their own Q&A. Just do yourself.
How do you mean add your? What do you mean by add your own
Just-
Q&A?
Just like allowing teachers to enter their own questions and
On
answers.
fixed questions. Yeah, exactly. Because this might come up repeated and it'll be the same question, right? Just because we're doing repetition. So, okay, so this will finish our day, and hopefully maybe there's one thing we need to adjust, where like this or this. But let's see. Okay, so I think I know how I'm going to do it. I think I have an idea. Okay, so I'll start by copying this fib pattern and then commenting it out. And then we'll call this order percents. And so in this case, it turns out that, you know, like this number, like 49 is very close to 50. But these numbers themselves, this is 0.5, right? This is 0.5 and this is 0.00. So this number, now I wonder whether we should do this, because the answer would be the same solution every time if we fixed the number. So I was thinking something like, what if I generate 201, and it's some, not 201, but like some random number for this denominator. And then it's 1 or 2 or 3, some numerator, some denominator here. And then then we kind of derive this value and this value based on the actual value of this. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. Because that's what these numbers are. These numbers are derived from this number in this question. And then these two numbers are equivalent. But then I fear that if we just randomly generate the same pattern of solution versus like actually having to solve it, does not seem as exciting. So I feel like we can probably get away with making this more random and taking the intention away from this question. Because I like the intention now being the percentages and fractions. decimal percent in fractions. That's the intention, not necessarily these being equal or these being very close. These three are very close and these two are equal. I don't want to follow that pattern for now. So
I don't think they're equal.
sorry. Oh, 0.5%. My bad. You're right. They're not. But see, it confused me.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I misread it. Yeah, yeah. But
symbol.
that's actually the intention of this.
Yeah.
Is like this is close to this.
Yeah.
Not equal, but it's close to this.
Intended to confuse.
Yeah. In the same way, these are close to this, where they intended to confuse. But then if we're randomly generating it, then it's all confusion all the way through. But maybe we can make this a simple fraction. We can make this a harder fraction. And we can, okay, let's see. Let's actually start doing it, and then we can determine how to do it. So I have my first fraction percent. And this is a fraction. And fractions need a numerator and a denominator. And then, which are integers. So here we can go fairly simple, I believe. Again, I'm just going to do ones. It's just one. Okay, it's always one. And then here, maybe we do something simple. Maybe something from like 2 to 7, let's just say. And that'll just be our first fraction. We could. Okay. And then...
Wait. I'm just looking at the answer. And I'm just realizing that, like, maybe you already got this, but like 0.5% is okay, so 0.5%.
0 point, yeah. You gotta have to divide it by 100.
Is 0.005.
Yep. Which is, so they are close. This is the only one that's not close.
Okay, interesting.
Right? I have to divide this by 100. Because that's its actual value. So I'm just, because it is a percent. I'll come back to this in a second. We'll assume that even though I wrote percent, we'll just treat it like a normal fraction for now. Just generate a problem, and then refine it. Because I feel like if I spend too much time here, I might get sunk. So the next number I'm going to generate is a regular fraction. And then this can be 1. Oops, no, that's not how that works. Fraction. And this can be numerator. And this can be denominator. And this can be gone. And then my denominator can be rather large. So I can do something like anywhere from 150 to, let's say 210. And when we look at this question, it might not make sense. And then I'm actually happy to do what Mary was suggesting, is like, let's just not do it. Or was implying. Since she didn't say it.
I was not implying that.
You implied it. You implied it. Yes, 100%. Don't lie to me. I'm just kidding. Why else?
Just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean I want to skip it.
Oh, this is the best part of the stream. We already have an ordering question. To me, I interpret that I will own the interpretation. I won't put it on you. I'll own the interpret. I interpret that as an implication, maybe, of like, hey, we already have one. Like, when you go to the store, you're like, should we buy this? And you're like, we already have an ordered question at home. That's
okay. Observe that I deleted that sticky.
True.
I think what I was like at a later point, what I was thinking about is like, okay, like when you come up with the answer, I see that the 0.5% is like the anchoring number where everything is in relation to.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It actually is. But because we're pseudo randomly generating it, it becomes a little bit more challenging to implement. It's like it's not trivial, but it's also not like super hard. So there's some balance there. So now what I want to do is so we have some 1 over, let's say, what's 1 over 150? Right? It's this value. Can I, if I round, how do I get the last 4 digits here? Given this value, I want this number. Okay. 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 Does our math.js have a solution? We can also go straight to AI with this, by the way. Using math.js, I have a number like, and I want this number to 4 decimal places. Okay. Can I use evaluate in math.js for this? Okay. That's not 4 places. That's 4 places. But I guess this, because this is 7, that gets rounded. Oh, that's fine. Can I get from 1 over 2 using evaluate? Yeah, I didn't mean this. Why do you think why do you think I'm stupid? Of course I know that you can't get it from this. Geez. Okay. All right, fine. So now we are actually exactly creating the question in the way. And I'm like, maybe let's give it a chance. So I'll copy this now. Oops. Yeah, I'll copy this. And we'll use this in our derived formula. And this will become regular fraction, because ultimately the value is going in there. And presumably this will give us what we want. It's not going to be, yeah, it will be A. So now this will be exactly the same formulation, but maybe that's okay. I don't love it, but I'm doing it for the exercise itself. So I have this value, and now this value is 10 times this value. So I can continue the derived process by saying A times 10. And that's B, so AB. And then C is what? Like this times 10? Or no, this is 0.5 and 0.5% point, so 100. Okay. I'm not sure about any of this, by the way, so I still have to figure it out. Oops. And this can be fraction percent times 100. The only thing that's not quite correct here that I don't have a representation for is this is a fraction, not a fraction percent. And in order to do this, I would have to say divide by 100 in order to make it a percent. I don't have that in fraction. But maybe all of these should have multiply by and divide by, right? Whoops. But that's fine for now. That kind of stuff I can do later. I just want to get some sense of functionality right now. So let's go to fraction. And this is the actual value. And after that, I can just copy this. Or I can let AI try and figure it out. I just eyeballing this from below to say that it follows the same pattern. Yep. And then, yep. Okay, so I have this, and yeah, absolutely this should be outside. There's a lot of things, like for example, even here, I know that like this pattern is the same, so I can put this in a variable, this in a variable, this in a variable, these in variables, and then at the end I can have the replace. So the replace doesn't have to be in each if, for example, but it's not, it bothers me, but again, I have to ignore that because we want to move forward. Okay, so I have a divide by. So now I can say that I'm following the true essence of the question. We do have to display the question. Order from smallest to largest. Order from smallest to largest. And then we want fraction percent first, absolutely. Then we want A, B, C, no end, and we want regular fraction. Okay, so I'm actually not invested in the answer. I'm currently invested in how this displays. Because one thing I need to do here is add a percent. Because the value of, like, unfortunately, the value of this is not tied to its representation. So I have to actually add that representation here because we're doing this divide by. Because a fraction will still be represented as numerator over denominator if my memory of my own code is correct. And so we do have to represent it differently here. And then maybe I can even, because this is all generated, the order is going to be the same every time, which is why I don't like it as a question, is because I feel like the kids will just recognize the pattern and go, I know what this is, and not even try and solve it. But I still liked doing this as an exercise for us to really get deep into the question. And maybe I'll leave it like this for now. Either I'll remove it, even though we went through all that work, I might not include it, or I might generally randomize this so some of these values aren't dependent, and we lose a little bit of the spirit of the question, but we actually get a question that's repeatable. Okay. Come on. I'm clicking in case you can't tell, but nothing is happening, so there's an error. Server side, because the code isn't correct somewhere. Now, this is one of, I guess, my issues with this is it's hard to tell where that problem is precisely. I mean, first of all, we know the problem is in the code I changed. But let me just see if there aren't any diagnostic errors in the code. There are not, which means that And the error here is like reading value of undefined, which means somewhere like answer the L is here. Here's where the problem is. Yeah, it's right here. Because I ignored the answer. I was like, answer's not important, but I'm referencing a variable that I haven't created. So let's just say the answer is hello. And if my understanding is correct, then this should function now. And if my understanding is incorrect, then I guess I'll have to solve a different problem. Okay, understanding is correct. I feel like I was lied to. Because these numbers are not rounded. So 1/179, let's actually just test the numbers. Okay, yeah, sorry. This number is, when I divide by 10 or multiply by 10, I still need to continue the rounding. That makes sense. And this did respect that, like it did not, because this would be 5, 6, if that were the case. Instead, it did actually it did truncate. And I need to do a similar truncation process for these numbers because of floating point issues.
And C is supposed to be a percent, right?
Oh, yeah, correct. So we would have to multiply by 100, and it would be that percent. Okay. So C is a percent. And I was like, I'm not going to refactor or whatever. Because the thing is, I can't multiply it here in its representation. I have to multiply it here. And so it's a percent. And derived numbers don't have multiply by. So maybe it's actually a nice time for me to do that work. But it might be a lot of work. So I'm just looking at the time. Wow. Wow. I was like, I can't believe that's where your mind went first, but okay, fine. Noted. So I'm just going to quickly check my messages as well.
It would be real nice if there's a snack nearby.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. Okay. That's intense. Wow. All right. I always thought you were a nice person, Mary, but you're just self-serving like the rest of them. Okay.
What do you mean? You have a snack. I'm just pointing it out.
But it's not. No. No, but it's because you want to see a certain result, a certain
I'm
action.
invested.
Exactly. Yeah, you're invested. I have a warm Pepsi Zero Lime here. And I know it's warm because I took it out one time on a stream and I just left it here. So I'm going to drink this.
No, why?
Yeah, it's, because a temptation has been created in me and I need a distraction. It's definitely better cold. Yeah. Especially when it's diet, right? When
oh man.
When the sugar doesn't hit you as strong, like you need the coldness to take away from that. So that's definitely a mistake, but I really enjoyed your reaction to that. Won't lie. Okay, so I won't refactor because I feel like refactoring will cause more things to happen than I care to do. I will copy paste, and then now I think I can put a stake in the sand. Is that the saying? I could I can draw a line in the sand and say, the next time I'm back, We're going to start by refactoring and cleaning up the code a little bit. Or not. I'm struggling. Sorry, I know I'm rambling, but I'm struggling because I really want to complete the questions. And anything that gets in the way is a distraction. And I'm 2 pages away. Let's see. Okay, fine. We'll figure it out. Okay, but for now, copy paste. And let's get this done and let's call it. And maybe let's see what Mary did in AI land and call it a day.
What was derived. Do?
Wow. So derived numbers are not generated. Where's derived? Where do I handle derived numbers? Oh, this is a weird place to do that. So actually, I should be doing this logic here. Let's see if AI catches it. It catches a little bit of it. I think it does because it's copying the code I have below. But I actually want to literally copy paste. So the evaluation does not belong here. The evaluation belongs here. And I just noticed that now because of, I was expecting to put multiply by here. And again, yes, all of this is clearly is possibly null. And how do we avoid the nullness here? Because this value can be null. No, that's not why. Is it because derived values can be null? But all values can be null. Sorry, it doesn't give me that error here. Because why? Look, no error. And then here there's an error saying variable of value is possibly null. So what indications are there here that it's not null? It's number or null, number or null. Why am I losing my mind? Here's number. Is that because multiplied by value? No. That's fine. I'll just handle it this way. And now this should indicate to the typing system that it does exist. And that makes sense. You only kind of want to do any of this business if the number exists. And now I should be able to multiply by 100. Yeah, this is going deeper than I wanted. There's a few other problems here, unfortunately. One, which is what am I doing? No, I'm still an idiot, and I'm unfortunately, Mary, you didn't even catch me. So I blame Mary.
What happened?
I blame Mary for sure, 100%.
Okay.
It's actually not multiplied by 100. It's multiplied by 100 twice. So that, and then I could just round this to 2. So I didn't need to do any of that code, by the way, because I forgot that I'm using a derived value, even though that line was right above, like the answer was right above, and I missed it. That's fine.
You need to go to bed.
Actually, I came from a nap, So, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to round to 2. So that we're not losing something. And now that multiply by business was not necessary. And now 100% needs to be refactored. That's fine. It didn't take too long. Okay, so now this is starting to look like a question, like a question that cares about who it is.
Can you solve it?
No. Okay, so this is smaller. But 1/7, I wouldn't know which one is the smallest. Like, they would just, come on, get out of here. And the answer is hello. Oh, that's so
Nice.
good. That's so good. But I think this is, I'm not going to continue from here. I think this is a good point for me to stop. I will come back and here finish off the correct answer when I return. And I'll mess about with this so it's more random and not as derived. I don't like the derivation, even though we went through the exercise to capture the spirit. I enjoyed the exercise. I liked what we did, but I'm not sure that I want to use it as is. So, oh no, that still lives here. That's a really big sign.
No, that should move down to wherever
Should it?
we left off.
Okay, yeah. So I guess I'm sorry, Miriam. I know. Okay, fine. We'll live with this. Okay, all right. I don't know why I was getting very worried. Um, you said you had something to share. Do you still have something to share? Have you changed your mind?
I'm trying to remember what it was.
We were talking about your recipe thing, and you said you had tried something.
Yeah, right. Okay. This is not very exciting, but I will share it. What is it? So I've been playing with. Oh no! What happened? Sorry, my ChatGPT just crashed.
They should.
Happens sometimes.
I think OpenAI should use AI to fix all their bugs.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. I'm just gonna hide my history. I'm not about that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I've been playing with ChatGPT's like built-in GPT feature, which is really just adding a filter to the base model, essentially. And so what I tend to do, by the way, in general, is like I'm a very lazy person. And so when I find myself doing something over and over, I'm like, like I need to like make this a little bit easier. So this is where this comes from.
Before you get too deep, Mary, just for production purposes, are you able to increase the size of the text? Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so this is one example of that, is literally me just getting frustrated when I look at recipes and I'm like, this is too wordy. I want the TLDR, especially when I'm in the kitchen trying to like do a thing. I'm like, I don't want to read a paragraph to know what to do next. So I wrote this, and I have not really revised it much. It's more just I wrote some instructions that says I gave it a name. Their name is Genie, inspired by Aladdin, I guess. I like the idea of Genie because like the genie is a little bit of a chaotic character. So I like that aspect, but also magic. So I don't think we need to go over it, but essentially, Genie is gonna parse input that I give it. I have not tested all of these cases, by the way, but ideally, I'm like, I should be able to paste text. I should be able to like send a screenshot. I should be able to take a picture of a scribble that my grandma sent me. I should be able to send a link to identify like the steps. And I want it to be reformatted into a very like easy to follow set. This I'm not sure. I was thinking about like what if like people don't know what they like, including myself. So I was thinking it could be neat to just be like, hey, here is version 1, here is version 2, which do you prefer? And just learn that way rather than asking people right like straight from the start. Anyway, not overly important. And I wanted to just test this out because I hope you don't see. Okay, let's see, where did I save that picture? So I took a picture of, well, not a picture, a screenshot of a recipe I just randomly found, and all I'm gonna do is just send it and see if it does something. So it's saying here's a cleaned up and user friendly version of this recipe. So it's able to recognize it. No idea if it's hallucinating some of it as well. Like that's also a part of this. But it is kind of doing what I want it to do. And I'm like, okay, like there's two different styles. Which one do I like? I like the second one. Oh, I also like this. Would you like this adapted to a slow cooker or made vegetarian? That's neat. Um, and then it's saying, here's your final format. And essentially, what I want to do with that Chrome extension idea is to be able
Hmm.
to have this and be like, save to my whatever, save to something, save to some sort of database, and be able to access it. And
Yeah.
then I also want to test it with a link just because curious. And I found just like the first recipe that came up when I searched for Adnan's favorite dessert, apparently.
Okay. Yeah. Although these are different types of halwa. Suji ka halwa is different than
Oh
um,
no!
badam ka halwa. So the halwa is just a word for, I guess, I don't know if pudding is the right translation. That's what they've used here, and suji is semolina. But this specific one is, it seems, for this is for suji and not for badam, which is
Hmm.
almonds. And then there's like gajar, which is carrots. So there's different things that you would make a halwa out of. Um, but your point of this recipe business is taken. So you want something that will use your GPT from a browser directly, and then store the outputs in some kind of database that you can navigate.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. So here's how I will think about it, and maybe
I know
no,
that
I
there
will.
is.
I won't think about it.
You
Sorry.
won't
Go
think
ahead.
about it. I know
I
that
will. I will.
there are like GPT specific like API and keys and
Hmm.
stuff like that that I've played with like a year ago. So it's very fuzzy. Um, but I yeah have not
Hmm.
touched it in a
Okay.
while.
So I have a few ideas, but I'm going to keep them secret, um, because one, I want to kind of guide you there
Okay.
with, and not just say it necessarily. And let's say I'm not able to guide you there, but you may go somewhere else that is still relevant. If that makes sense. If I just stay my idea, then we might just do that or something close
Okay.
to it. Versus if I try and ask you, how would you like, instead of, because I love coming up with answers, I love being right. But what if I pose the questions to you instead once we're doing something like this? Your answers don't have to match mine, but they might still be valid enough for us to pursue. And if
Well,
not, then I can kind of continue guiding, right? So that's the pattern we'll take, I think, for this.
okay. If I'm going
Uh,
down the wrong path, are you going to let me know?
I don't know yet, because wrong path learning is so important. Like like it's part of actually learning the process, right? Because if all your learning just involves avoiding the wrong path, then that experience is not built into your skin. Um, and now you're not training yourself to get a sense of how to avoid what feels wrong. Like that's what gut
Hmm.
is. Gut isn't this thing that you're magically born with. It's something you develop over time as a result of these experiences. So for you to develop your gut instinct, it's important for you to pursue your ideas and deal with the consequences.
Sounds good. Sounds
Okay.
good. I'm totally okay with struggling in public. Like I said, I think a dose of a dose a healthy dose of discomfort is good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um, so is this what we do next then? Is that the idea?
I don't know.
Okay, well,
Is
let's see.
I'm
Let's
not
see.
sure.
I,
I want to do it. I'm not sure if
mhm.
I want to stream it. So we'll see.
Wow.
Okay. Okay,
Wow.
we can stream it.
So hold on, no. So when I was saying we could do it together, and I'll try and like give you hints or whatever, you thought we'd just do it out of friendship off stream. You thought it would just. I was totally in stream context. That's interesting.
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with either. I think I would not want to stop momentum on what we're working on right now.
Yeah.
It's
So
more
then it would have to
thinking
be next, right? Then it can be like something that follows. For me, a good stopping point on honeypot, and stopping doesn't mean stopping forever or whatever. It just means for now would be getting this deployed where even if the first page you land on was like enter a list of students or whatever, and it's just accessible and people can just use it, and that's it. Like, and there's no sign up, there's nothing. It's just you go, you use it, you play it, and it's goodbye. And nothing gets, well, things get saved because we have a database, but from a user point of view, there's no saving per se. And I think that'd still be pretty good because it'd be usable. And then I guess it's up to you to decide whether you want to now pursue some of these additional ideas you wanted on top of the base honeypot game, or you want to pursue the recipe thing, which is and there are different challenges, but they're pseudo related because of what paths we might take. So I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. I selfishly want analytics for honeypot.
Oh wow! Oh my god! That's what you're. Wow!
From like a product perspective, like from
wow!
the lens.
Oh my god! Okay. Yeah, we can see what we could do about that. That might
some form of analytics.
Okay. We can see. We could see. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, I think that's what we have for today. This might have been our longest session thus far. And thank you for joining us on this session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Thursday. And we'll see you tomorrow, I think, at a non-random time.
It's Friday tomorrow.
It's Friday tomorrow, so we have a set time on Friday. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. All right, let's go home, everyone. Good night.